I'd come out to the garden. I know that everything is like out of control this morning, so we are going to get out here and get some stuff harvested. I think we better start with the squash. I have some yellow straight neck squash that's going to town, as you can see here and behind me. If you look down in here, we've got some massive squash growing everywhere inside here. Look at this big old fatty. My goodness. That's pretty darn big. Holy cow. Let me get the rest of those. We'll be right back. Wow, look at the size of this one. I waited way too long for this. So I did get 3 squash, but these 3 squash are like really big. They're huge. Let's go empty our basket and pick some tomatoes and onions and see what else we've got. Look at all these tomatoes. These are just the cherry tomatoes that we picked. And then if you look over here at this cherry tomato plant, you can see that tomorrow or the next day, I'm gonna be picking again. So while I was out here, I wanted to show you the difference. There's a little experiment that I did on pruning. So the cherry tomatoes that I just picked are called Super Sweet 100s. And the Super Sweet 100s over there, I pruned and I suckered, okay? So they only have anywhere from 1 to, some of them got away from me a little bit, to 3 main stems. This one, however, I just let go wild. For the most part, I had to come in and trim some lower leaves and things like that for airflow so that we didn't get any kind of disease and sickness. But for the most part, as you can see, I let it run wild. These are the cherry tomatoes that I picked off the ones that I pruned, okay? I also want to add that they were all planted at the same time, okay? And in the same soil. These as you can see are much smaller. They're much smaller. I thought it was an interesting little experiment, and I thought I'd share it with you. So this variety and that variety over there, they're both the same thing. They're called a Black Prince variety, and well, they had a lot of cracking. As you can see, they had a lot of cracking, and it was just disappointing. They did have pretty good flavor, but I don't think I'll grow this variety again. So this is a Cherokee Purple, and it's got a little bit of, could have used probably a couple more days, but I really love this variety of tomato and I want to eat it. So I went ahead and picked it. Most of the tomatoes up here are not ready to be picked yet. I've got several different varieties. Well, looks like that one made it to the ground. It looks half eaten on too. But as you can see, I mean, here pretty soon I'm going to have some ripe tomatoes. That variety is Celebrity, and this is a dwarf variety. And the little short ones, I'm not impressed with those. They seem to do all right in producing some tomatoes, but I'm just not impressed. These are obviously yellow pear tomatoes, and I love yellow pear tomatoes, but they are so not ripe yet. Some of them, one looks like it's starting to, so that'll be good. That's a good sized one too. Good grief. Yeah, it's a good sized one. I have lots of yellow pear varieties this year. Yeah, those ones are starting to get ripe. How exciting. Back here I've got a variety called Pink Girls that I also enjoy. And then these, they're being slow. But they're being slow because they got planted later. And then these ones I started a little late too. They're black velvets. And so I'm pretty excited about that as well. And I mean, tomato hornworms right now are like the bane of my existence. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Those and the Japanese beetles. They didn't have all of that stuff in Colorado that I dealt with anyway, where I was. But here in Missouri we have 2 growing seasons, and they're much longer growing seasons, and I'm very excited about that. And I'm ready to do battles with some bugs, that's for sure. This variety here is a chocolate cherry variety, and I'm pretty excited about those. So there's a couple varieties that I planted a little later, and that's why they don't look as prolific. These are my Cherokee purples. I've already been harvesting off these, but I want to show you this massive tomato over here. I got to get my way over. Oh, and these are chocolate cherry tomatoes too. These ones are getting ripe. Those ones look pretty good so far. Let me show you. Let me show you my biggest tomato so far anyway. This is a Cherokee purple, and if you can just see how massive this thing really is. I mean, they're not pretty tomatoes by any means, but wow, it's a big old monster. Some of these onions are ready, so let's go ahead and get some of those out of the ground today too. Some of these are still quite small, so I'm going to go ahead and leave those. This one's big enough. I'm just going to cut off the top so it doesn't take up so much room in my basket. Trim the roots. Ew, don't touch your eyes after when you're cutting on these because it's juicy. Not a whole lot of onions, but enough. Here we've got a lot of squash. And we have a lot of, the yellow straight neck squash, but what you didn't see is things that aren't quite ready yet. Like, for instance, this is a spaghetti squash. And there are quite a few even growing out and starting. So I'm really definitely excited for those as well. And down in here, somewhere down in here, I have a canteen gourd. I hope he makes it. He's kind of being suffocated by squash, so I'm not so sure that he's going to do well. And the same as over here, I have in there somewhere, I have a Choctaw squash, and I hope he makes it. Looks like, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks like I also have some of these eggs out here. Ugh! I have to pick that leaf. And then there's, I don't know what those beetle things are, but they're flying everywhere out here, and they're on everything too. And they're driving me nuts. So if you know, leave me a comment. On this end, I have butternut squash, and I haven't gotten any starting on here yet, but I'm gonna have that here pretty soon, I think. Also, in here, I did plant eggplant, and they're still in here, but I don't know if they're going to do a whole lot just because they're also being completely suffocated by the other squash. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I was blessed to obtain this large swimming pool, kiddie swimming pool. And then I have another one over here. It's not as big, but I'm pretty excited. In that one, I'm going to get the dirt together, and I'm going to do something fun in there. Get to that on another video. But here, I planted bonbon squash, and I planted jackpot zucchini, and I planted Y-star squash, and then over here only one came up, but it's a yeah, whatever that is, squash. And in the middle, I have two different varieties of carrots, purple haze carrots, and then an orange variety that I got from Baker Creek, and I can't remember exactly what they are at the top of my head other than they're an orange variety. And they're coming up. They're getting stuff done. It's just taking a little bit. Over here, just for fun, I put in a cup of watermelon, and they seem to be doing really well. This one you can't even see the hill anymore. It's just grown into the grass. But I saw some flowers on here. Oh yeah. So hopefully we'll get some watermelon. I've got other stuff out here, but it is getting blazing hot. And my hair is sticking to me, and I'm just going to go into the house and we'll just take a look at what I did get harvested today. And maybe we can look at the other stuff later as my glasses slide off my face. It's time to go in. Holy cherry tomato. That's a lot of tomatoes. A handful of onions. Handful of other varieties of tomatoes and some squash. some mammoth squash. Holy cow. But yeah, mostly a whole lot of cherry tomatoes.